you got friends and family that come over and like, what's their response when they see it?
They say, wow.
Yeah.
We had a party for my daughter a while back, and the people there, they was loving it. And they was walking through, looking at it, and they went through the shower. I showed them the shower.
You have to.
I have to show the shower.
That's the Taj Mahal.
UPS guy come one day, and he said, man, I like this. I said, okay, well, Barndo come to build it. And I said, come on this side. So I took him in there and showed him the shower. He said, whoa, man. It's awesome. I said, you can take these things and make whatever you want, as little or as big as you want it.
I just want to meet the people that came and be like, guys, you won't believe what happened today. I showed up at this guy's house. He was like, let me show you my shower. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Barndo Show. Today, I get to do one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, and that is talk to clients that have built with us. And man, I met you guys a couple years ago and had conversations. And that was back in the earlier days, and I had a little bit more involvement in things. And you guys met with me and met with different members of the staff and came around and Tony, you were at the office all the time. I was like, we just need to give him a shirt, man. He's just part of the crew now. So, but I just wanted to get on here and like just talk through what it's like, you know, from the moment you decided you were ready to go build something, you know, why, and then how you found us and what made you think about Barndominiums and what were some of the things that made you decide to do a Barndominium and that kind of thing. So I guess the long story short is like, how did you find us?
Well, I worked for UPS 35 years, retired, and went back to work for them, doing some odd jobs for them, hiring mostly. And I was talking to a young man one day. I was waiting on his paperwork to come through, and I just asked him, why do you want to work at UPS? He said, well, I want a secure future. And said, UPS is one of the securest. I said, well, yeah, that's true. Well, he said, I want to get married, build me a house. I said, what kind of house you going to build? He said, a Barndominium. I said, what's that? He showed me a picture of it. I said, wow. And it was a true Barndominium. It was where downstairs was where you put all your toys.
Yeah.
Upstairs you had your big apartment, place like that, living quarters. But it was nice. And then when we got to looking, we bought that land out there where we built on Stewart Road. So we got to thinking, what about a Barndominium? And I got you, I think off either Facebook or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I seen it and I just Googled it, Barndo Company. And I liked what I saw. We corresponded a little while, me and you, I think. And, well, I was corresponding with several different people. Because y'all was young then.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good thing. It was a good experience. It was. By far more than bad experience.
Yeah.
I mean, there's rough spots here and there, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I was out at the site every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes twice.
Yeah. Now, what about you? So what was when he came and said, I want to build a Barndominium, what was your reaction to that?
I said, that's not something I want to do. I said, I prefer living in a house than a barn. He said, well, I don't think you've seen any pictures. So when he showed me a picture, I'm like, I think I can do this.
Right. Yeah.
And then when I met with you and you said, we can put whatever you want in there. And I think, well, sounds good to me. And I pretty much have everything I want.
That's awesome. Now, I don't remember when you guys came in. Did y'all go on one of the tours we used to do where you go and see barns or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So it's fun for me because like there was a brief period of time where we were like trying to get, because nobody had been in them or seen them. They seen pictures. And so we tried to do some of those tours, and it got so popular that homeowners were like, quit bringing people out to the job site, because it was like charter buses of people. And it wasn't a scalable thing. It was fun while it lasted, you know, for about 4 or 5 months, but it was just fun to see people experience it. So you kind of like the idea, you had conversations with me, and then you kind of got to put a plan together and all that, and then the design. And so you guys chose one of our plans and then kind of modified it, and it ended up becoming a pretty good staple, and it was, y'all did some great improvements, and so it was a great way for us to say like, wow. So y'all chose the maple.
Chose the maple, correct.
And then y'all worked with what was it like working with the designer to make the changes?
He was awesome. We did it via Zoom.
Yep.
And he showed us everything in 3D, like we wanted it. He'd change it right there if he could. And, we had several different meetings with him. But he was awesome to work with. And he put everything pretty much like we wanted it.
Yep.
And then when y'all got done, that became the Maple 2. And so if you guys are like thinking about that bathroom design that you see on that plan, here you go. This is where it was born. So so when you guys looked at that original Maple and then you guys turned that into that, at that point in time, it was hands down the biggest shower we had ever built in our lives. And that bathroom was like, whoa. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, this is going to be incredible to build. And everybody was so excited. And like how did that come about? Like what process did that look like?
That was kind of my idea. My whole life, I've had a small shower. I mean, small. Even the last house I had, which was built in 94, had a small shower. Big tub, but a small shower. So I'm not going to have that. I'm going to have both of them. I got the big tub and I got the big shower. And I was sat there looking at it, and I just started going over things in my head of what I want. I knew I wanted a rain head. I knew I wanted regular shower heads, and then I wanted the water body sprayers.
Yeah.
I should have put one more on each side, hindsight. And then we had the handhelds, one on each side. But I did that for her, so when she cleaned the shower, she didn't have to drag that one all the way around.
Our granddaughters love it.
I bet they do. I mean, it's a water park.
That's what they call it.
I tell people it's like going through a car wash.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also, it's fun to see changes because, like I say, the Maple plan was same thing. A family sat down, designed it, created it, and we made a few little tweaks to it after building it because they had some stuff that was like specific to them. And then to see that plan like transform into the Maple 2, and now I think we have 4 or 5 renditions of Maples, and they've changed over time. And that's what's fun about Barndominiums is literally it can be anything you want it to be, as long as you got the patience to endure. Because it's hard. Like every time you make a change, there's a lot that goes in the back end of like, all right, it looks good, but does it work? Right. And building through that. And I remember another thing was you had seen a plan with that garage, with the loft above it, and we went back and forth on the loft, and but there was a vision in that. Like you were like, no, I gotta have this loft. And I remember that being back and forth the conversation about getting that garage, because you guys got the big garage, and then you got that whole upper area above it and everything like that. That's just again, like it's not common. Like that's not a common aspect of building a lot of times. Like a lot of times it's just like kind of a preset thing that, well, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do. But that was something we were able to recreate and come up with a solution, because it wasn't just a practical out of the box solution for us to do that. There was a lot that went into that all at one time. And so, that was.
Yeah, because I wanted the big garage, because I wasn't going to have me another detached garage like I had back home. So it's going to be my carport and whatever else I want to put in it. And I got 3 cars, so all 3 of those are going to go in it. Maybe one day I might get a tractor and it may go in it. So you never know. But yeah, I wanted the big garage, and I wanted a room over. It first started out, wasn't going to be quite that big. I walked out to the site one day, and the guy there said I had to add, because of the trusses, I think he said I had to add another 2 foot to the side of the walls. It's okay. That's fine. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. And he said, but you'll like it. I said, okay, cool. And then I went back out. Like I say, I went out pretty much every day. And I got to looking. I looked up there and I saw the roof. I said, okay. Then I went around, and there's a ladder there, so I climbed up. And I said, okay, I love this. Got it.
Right.
It's 100% lovable.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, once you go from that design phase and you've got all that and you went through that process and, you've looked at a million options and just took stuff away and added things and you're trying to figure out how to get on paper what's in your head, and that's one journey. And then when it goes to build and you get out there and they mark it off and then the concrete comes in, it kind of feels small.
It does.
It does.
Very.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
And then they frame it and people are like, whoa.
Yep.
When those trusses go up, it's like, I tell people, it's like walking into a church almost. Like you go in and it's just so grand and the ceilings are so high and like you don't know what you're looking at because it's deceiving. And then, so we always get there. Like we go out there and mark off. They're like, this just don't feel right. I'm like, guys, just breathe. Wait 7 days. And that concrete goes in and the framing goes up and the trusses get flown and they go and like once that happens, then they realize like, oh wow, yeah, no, this is big.
This is definitely.
It's awesome.
It required me to buy a new Christmas tree. So I think in one of your videos you said, just buy you a new Christmas tree to fill it up. So I did. I bought an 8.5 foot
Thank you.
Christmas
I appreciate
tree.
that.
What was funny was we had another guy that came on the show, Danny. He was I was joking with him when we were building it, and I was like, "You're gonna get keys right here at the holidays. You realize like you're gonna have a Christmas tree because he has in his where his upstairs is. His living room is 2 stories high, so it's like imagine your garage without the upstairs. That's how high the ceiling was in his living room, and he was like, "How high you reckon that is?" So I think the project manager dropped the tape down. And he went on Amazon and ordered this tree, and he was talking about he was trying to put it together on the ground. He was like he had to go get a lift to put it together. So I this year I was teasing him, asking him like, when you gonna start working on that tree? And then he sent me a picture the other day of his dog sitting there beside the tree. It's some massive thing, but it's fun. Like again, it's just that's a fun thing that in a Barndo like. Just standard built. You have the ability to put a massive Christmas tree in it. At Christmas time, I love talking about it. So it's just it's a fun thing. But before we jumped on here, we were talking about another thing that you were saying, like, hey, now that we've moved in, you got friends and family that come over and like, what's their response when they see it?
They say, wow.
Yeah.
I showed a guy, one of my niece's husband, I showed him a picture of that video y'all made and sent out a while, I guess, before I moved in.
Right.
And he was looking through it and he said, wow, whoa. He was at awe with it. And it's awesome. When you walk in, we had a party for my daughter a while back.
Baby shower.
And the people there, they was loving it. And they was walking through, looking at it, and they went through the shower. I showed them the shower.
You have to.
I have to show the shower.
That's the Taj Mahal.
UPS guy come one day, and he said, man, I like this. I said, okay, well, Barndo come to build it. And I said, come on this side. So I took him and I showed him the shower. He said, whoa, man. It's awesome. I said, you can take these things and make whatever you want, as little or as big as you want it.
I just want to meet the people that came and be like, guys, you won't believe what happened today. I showed up at this guy's house. He was like, let me show you my shower.
That's right.
Take everybody in there.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's just, I tell everybody, like, I was like, we need to redo our tagline to just look up. Because when you walk in and you look up, that's the moment it clicks of how different it is.
Yes.
It's not the same. There's no comparison to it inside of traditional building without spending a massive amount of money to get some of the same things. Like we don't go crazy with over the top trim levels and all that. Like I tell people all the time, like everybody that builds or buys a house, and you always you're looking for that conversation piece. But when you build one of these, like your home is that. Like people romanticize about it. They think about it. They've heard about it. And then when they see it, they're just like, wow, because it's different. It's different. And I think it gives people freedom to be like different. Like y'all decided to do something different. And then it's a cool thing. Like it reinforces a little bit of like, we made the right choice. This is cool.
Yep.
Another thing, and again, we were talking before we jumped into doing the show about I think one of the biggest things that we offer kind of as a standard. Now everything's optional, but a lot of our designs come standard with porch. big porches, and you guys got porches for days on both sides of the house. And so like
Yes.
you were talking about like, man, going out there and my grandkids just riding their Power Wheels on it. And like, I don't think people understand how much value that adds to your life. And a lot of people, I don't think, understand that they don't have a porch or they got something, right?
Yeah.
Like when they think porch, they think, like you said, a stoop or this small little thing that's decorative on the front of their home before you go in it. But like, you got a porch, and it changes the feel of the house. Like your ability to do things outdoors, throw parties, you know, just it's different. Like, what has that been like? Like, you know,
It's been awesome. During the summertime, I get my coffee and go outside on the front porch. In the afternoon, I end up on the back porch where the sun's setting. I love it. I mean, I sit out there. I don't watch near as much TV as I used to because I'm outside.
right?
And it is. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's a 60 by 12 front and back.
It's massive.
It's massive. It is.
Worth it, though.
It's worth every penny of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I, that's one of the biggest undersold values of a home. Like when people come in and they start doing the pricing and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, guys, we could take the porch away. But why don't you go see one first? Because I think when you see why it's there, you remember it's a lost art. If you think back in, you know, earlier days of houses, like you look at all these 1900, late 1800 Victorian homes and colonial homes, all of them had massive porch space. And so like people's lives existed in and out of the home, and like it somehow got lost. It's like a lost art in home design today because they're trying to put as much heated square footage as they can on the smallest piece of land they can find, and get as many people in them as possible. And they know that the bank will treat heated square footage differently than this one, and they're trying to get as much as they can for as little cost as possible and whatever they can do. And that's kind of where housing went. And you got a lot of custom home builders, you know, that cater to other things, but to just make it standard, like these are included on a lot of our designs. It's just it's a game changer. And I think it's something that people don't realize they don't have. And like, it makes your house so much more. Like, even the house that my wife and I live in currently, isn't a barndominium. We actually bought that house a couple years before we even started this company. And, you know, it's like one of those things where we keep fighting back and forth. I go buy land ready to build, and my wife's like, I don't want to move there, you know? And so we keep going, but we just bought land. We just bought some land. We're getting ready to build, the barndominium that we designed 2.5 years ago. And, we're excited about it, but I built the porch. I literally, I think I built like a 16 by 50 on the back of my house. And when people come over, like that's where we're at. Like it's a game changer to have that space. And again, it's just, I think what we really are trying to do is just reconnect people to what's most important. And that's the people you're with. And I think if you get too sucked up into all these little cubby holes of space and everybody wants to be in a room with the door shut and the TV on, like you lose a little bit of what makes life fun.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Well, we live in every room of that house now. You know, when we had the 2-story house, there was rooms we hardly ever went in. But this house, we're in those rooms all day, every day. Just in my breezeway. That's like my breezeway.
Right.
And I love it. Can't wait till it snows so I can go sit in that breezeway and watch the snow.
That's awesome. Every 6 years, right?
Well, I think we're about due, maybe.
Yeah, it feels like it. I feel it in the air.
And it's beautiful out there, you know, in the fall with the leaves and all that. So the breezeway is a plus for me.
It's going to be good. I guess you brought up something I want to hit real quick was you had rooms upstairs. And you're like, we never went there. And a lot of people come in and they bring us 2-story designs and they bring us this stuff. And people are just accustomed to it. Again, smallest footprint on the smallest tract of land. That's how you design homes. If you notice, we have some, but the overwhelming majority of the plans that we curate and publish and post are all single story. And it's intentional. And there's 2 reasons for it. Like both me and Ross have personal reasons why in the future, between our children and different stuff like that, like, and life experiences to where we know stairs can become a boundary, you know?
Yes.
And so like, it's better to have everything accessible and not need it than to need it to all be accessible and not have it. And so we really work hard to keep our pricing consistent to where the cost to build out is the same as to build up. And we intentionally do designs like that to keep everything on one floor because you never know what kind of circumstance you're going to find in. I remember one particularly, my daughter lived on the second story of our home and she fell and broke her leg, and she was basically in a wheelchair for like 7 months. It seemed like it was a long time. And we had to move her down, and thankfully we had a room downstairs, like my old office, that we turned into a bedroom for her. But that was a situation where we were like, whew, could you imagine if we were in that circumstance? Same thing, like, aging in your home, and you just don't, you never know what could happen to where you're like, I can't even use these parts without having to do all kinds of extra stuff, extra steps. But that's something that we're passionate about. We try to market accessible living.
Well, I have bilateral knee replacements, and my orthopedic said, do you live in a 2-story house? And at the time I said, I do. He said, you got to sell it. He said, because you got to take care of those. So, and I think I showed you a design that I liked, and it had a second story. And you said, why do you want to go up when you can go out? And I'm like, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. So we just decided to go out.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's
and wouldn't change it.
No, again, it's one of those things that you don't really realize until you live in it, and you're like, we use every room, like, and so it's just one of those extra little things, like attention to detail. And like the thing is, we know most people are building their dream, and dreams change and things change, and you might sell and rebuild and do stuff, but the vast majority of people we build for, this is where they plan to live, and we want to design something that they can build, that they can enjoy for however long that is, and avoid certain things to where just something simple like a design or just something that fits more in with what everybody else is doing that could prevent that. Like that's just not what we're about. Like we're really about like, how do we make sure that we're setting this thing up to where it's easily used all the time, and we can eliminate certain things from that conversation, but that's just, again, that goes back to just me and Ross in the very beginning, being very clear on that. Like, I would rather build these. And we get a lot of people that say stuff because, we build some monstrosities that have the upstairs and stuff because, I'll build whatever you want, but I caution everyone. But a lot of times we'll post stuff and like, we don't, you said like true barndominium, the garage below, the house above thing, like that's cool, but it's a little bit more than that, because if you're living in it every day, you want a home. And so a lot of our designs, we kind of catered to this ranch style design thing, and it's just been fun. It's been fun to see people experience inside of it. Now let's talk about the real nitty gritty stuff. We started building. What was that process like?
Well, actually, you called me. I was down there in the beach in Florida, sitting on the beach in Florida. So we're going to start grading tomorrow. And I think halfway into a 2-week vacation. So I didn't get to see it till after it was the whole thing was poured. And it was an experience. I mean, this would be my third one I've built. And I was more involved in this one than I've been in any other. Because, we just like to be there and like to look. I try not to get in the way. I'd bring donuts out sometimes, stuff like that, to the guys. And they enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it too. So, I love being around it, to watch it. Right. I've never seen anything like this and go up before.
What do you think the most frustrating part of the build was?
The time frame that it took.
Yeah.
I guess you don't you understand, but you don't. If things come up, weather, whatever, we understand all that. But it's like you're about to get a house and you just want it.
In Spartanburg County.
Yeah.
Threw me a loop big time.
Yeah. With the land disturbance.
With having to put the perk the septic tank took them 3 months.
Yeah.
And then they finally got the build permit, and y'all got started right away as soon as you got it. And then everything goes real fast for a while. Then right there toward the end, it'll kind of slow down a little bit more, because it'll you got things you got to tighten up and got to go back and redo some things like that. And you do well when you do it. I'll tell you like that, it looks good. and it's they was coming out one week, instead of everybody coming at the same time. And I don't know if they could. I don't know what they were doing. And then the weather, it gets into it. It took a little longer than I thought, but I was anxious too.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I was really
Everybody
anxious.
is.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's one thing that I think that we've probably done a better job of over the years is we know what's possible, and we know that there are certain projects we can show up and in 120 days we can hand you door keys. It happens.
Yeah.
We also know that there's some where it might be 12 months to door keys, and there's uncontrollable, controllable, different variables. There's all kinds of things that play into that. And so we structure our contracts in a way to kind of like plan for the worst case. And then I think we just kind of use it as like a, hey, this is just like worst case scenario. This is more thing. And then like the more we did it, we realized that, you're in between, right? And once that thing starts going, and once you see those first few weeks of how fast things are going, because that's the secret to Barndominium. That initial phase is faster than any other way of construction around. Once you get past that, we're on the same pace as everybody else because we've got to do all the same stuff. We got to wire, we got to plumb, we got to HVAC, we got to drywall, paint, cabinets, countertops, floor. Like, it's the same. But that first little sprint creates like momentum,
right?
And everybody gets excited, and you're like, "Boy, I'm gonna be in this thing in like 2 months." and then 6 months later, you're like, "Oh my god, like let's just close." And so like, you'd said you built before, and this was, you're building your dream home. You got your perfect piece of land, and like, what do you think was the best way of dealing with that anxiety of like, when are we going to move in? And how do you think you cope through it? Because what happened, like, everybody gets tension, and it's almost like it felt mutually, right? It's like these people hate our guts, and and then you're like, I know they hate us by now, and like, but it's not real. It's just a temporary thing. And what we know is like, once you get in, the good outweighs the bad, and like everything kind of resettles. And we've had people like on move-in day that are just like, and then a few months go by and they're hitting us up like, hey, my daughter is ready to build, and like it kind of self-levels. But some people don't know how to cope with that stress, and they don't know how to plan for those delays, because you kind of get in there and you can kind of see it, and you're like, well, I know it says here on paper that it's this date, but like, it's going to be before then. And you kind of make your mind up to that. And then when it isn't, like, what did you do to kind of like deal with that?
It was stressful. But now when we started with you was growing. You just started really growing.
We went through a lot of
your growth along with you. And, because you was changing people where you got stuff from, things like that. And we'd already picked out stuff here, and we was going back and forth. It was a little frustrating. It was. But, I mean, we worked through it with y'all. I mean,
all your people were very nice, though.
Yeah.
They were, helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Just easy to get along with and talk to. And so that made it easier when somebody would change up something on us.
Yeah.
Everybody was just very nice.
Well, that's good. I mean, I would say that if we got anything that's the best, it's our people. We take a lot of pride in that, like the culture and how we operate, and everybody's working towards the same mission to, make it a good experience. But building a house is ugly. And then like a growing company on top of that compounds it. And so like, we understand like why a lot of people don't grow, because it's painful to do, because you got to have weird things happen. Like, well, this cabinet line can't sustain the growth that's coming. We've got to transition to this cabinet line. And even though they're very similar, I'm not just going to hoodwink something in like, hey guys, I need you to come up here and look at these and like do your repicks. And it's aggravating and agitating, and like we feel that too. And so it's one of those things where we have to make tough decisions sometimes. Like, what's the if we're going to have the battle, what's a better battle to have? A difficult conversation with a handful of clients that will set up success for hundreds more, or just forget about the problem altogether and just deal with what we got. And I think a lot of people probably choose the easier path there, and then their company doesn't grow because like what got you here can't get you there. And like I think there's a way to do it where yeah, it's an extra step and it's frustrating. And trust me, everybody in my office feels that stuff. Like they hate to have an experience start to come off the rails. And it happens to everybody. You could be the biggest raving fan of Barndo. People, I mean, we have clients that are amazing. They're so excited and they sing our praises. They're on Facebook leaving reviews and Google leaving reviews, and they're telling all their friends, and they're making videos, and they're documenting the process, and they're coming to dinner and like inviting us over to parties, and like they're excited. Even when it comes to crunch time, that final 45-day run, it gets a little dicey, like because it's emotional and expensive, and all the things are happening, and like it's normal. And so I think the more that we've done it, the more we realize it's not personal. It's not even individual.
Right.
I never felt like that.
It's just part of the process.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I got anxious every once in a while, but when Dan came, I felt great after that.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan's the man.
Just shout him out. I love hearing
Dan's the man.
Yeah, he's very easy to.
He got things rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like I say, we started out with you when you was small, and then I had 1, 2, 3, and then Dan came, and he got things rocking and rolling. Like I liked at the time.
We kind of miss seeing him.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen him in a while.
Well, he's going to listen to this, and he's going to show up at your house and be like, I brought a pizza.
Come on, Dan.
Pepperoni, Dan.
But, Dan, I think most people that built with him, and it's true for all of them, it's not just Dan, but he's just got that big care. He's just compassionate, caring human, and he wants you to have a great experience, and it brings him a lot of joy to, like, deliver. And so he's like an exceptional human being. Like he will bend over backwards to make things happen. Mm-hmm. And
the first person we bonded with was Mario. Love Mario.
Yeah,
he's a good man.
Mm-hmm.
He would call us and say, "I got one that's kind of near ready for you to look at. You want to come look at it?" And we'd go look.
And he meet us there.
Yeah. We'd be like, yeah, we like it. And so I guess he kind of helped us decide that's what we wanted.
Well, and Mario's situation was he's moved around with so many things because he was the first employee of our company. And he knows how to do everything. And he was out there in the trenches in the beginning with Ross and I figuring the system out, which we had to kind of recreate because the biggest thing we had to do is figure out how to get banks to lend. So we created a unique system to be able to do what we do and have the success we've had with lending. And he was so instrumental in that. Like he knew how to build them in his sleep. And so Mario trains every crew that comes on with the original construction. So from the standing of the poles and the trusses to the framing to the exterior sheathing and the roofing and the way we tie that envelope in and all that. Like he is hands down the most experienced guy that we have there, and he trains every crew. So if we go to a new area, he trains the crews that do that in that area. He trains and does all this stuff, and he was doing so much of that like he get pulled in, and then we're like, all right, he can't project manage, but then he would go to an area like when we moved into North Carolina, he's up there training all these guys, and he's up there all the time, and so like he would pick up jobs and project manage, and he's helping the new project managers in this new area, and he's doing this, and then a new area opens, and then Mario kind of goes over there. So Mario, what's funny is so many people, like out of the hundreds of barns that we've built, like I'd say half of them will say something about Mario because he's just involved in everything, and still to this day, like he's anything to do with our growth, Mario's tied to it. Like he's just in it. He's involved. He's building out showrooms and offices and still running crews, and I mean he'll literally do anything. He's a game changer too. I love that dude.
He was very helpful.
Very helpful.
And you had an intern from Clemson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent young man.
What was his name?
Helped us a lot.
Heath.
Yeah.
No, Heath's in purchasing. Oh man, Gwynn.
No.
Devin Gwynn.
Devin.
Yeah, Devin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was very helpful.
He was very knowledgeable.
He was sensational. Mm-hmm. And like I remember at the end of the summer before he was going back, he's like, "Man, I kind of just want to stay." And we're like, "No, don't." Like you keep doing your thing. And I think this past summer he was doing some stuff with a commercial group, and he was a great kid. He was one of those, like, we do a lot with interns and students and things like that. And he was one of those ones where you came in and was like, this is grown man. He's got grown man attitude. He can handle some stuff. And so he got a little bit more of a field experience than some of our other interns, just because of he was just about the business side and like doing the things, and he didn't need a lot of guidance. So he floated around with a bunch of our people, and he was a great one.
He was.
I hope in the next couple of years maybe he shows back up permanently. But
that'd be good.
Yeah, no, he was fantastic. That's awesome that you got to shout him out. But he was at Clemson doing the construction science management program, and just such a smart young man.
Very smart.
But I guess what's your favorite thing about your Barndo since it's all done? You're living in it, and you've been in it for a few months, and like, what's that been like?
It's been great. I mean, the heating bill is way low. I mean, if I was back in my house, the old house, I'd be paying $400 or $500 a month. Now I'm paying right at $100. I said, it's awesome. The water, I mean, everything. I mean, the shower, my baby.
We can't get away. He's like, you guys got to post a picture of the shower. Every time we say shower, just throw it back up there.
Yeah.
Now, she took the closet, the main closet. I have nothing in there. So I got my stuff in the office where my little desk is. My intention is to move up above the garage for my office and all that good stuff, and then that's going to be my closet.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I had to change that around.
But we like the den, kitchen, dining. We like that whole area.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's the life zone.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're with everybody. And you're still in the same room, but I may be in the kitchen, but I don't feel left out. I feel like I'm out there with everybody.
Yep.
So, and our two little granddaughters, 5 and 4, they love it. They still call it the Barndo.
Yep.
That's let's go to the Barndo, Garan, and they do. They love it. They like watching him split the wood outside. That's one of the things that they'll come over and they'll want him just to go out there and split some wood so they can watch. So it's very child friendly.
That's another thing. It's built solid. I had 2 trees fall on it during Helene.
Oh yeah, the hurricane.
Yeah. And it did damage, but it
Not
didn't
much.
fall through. It hit mainly right over the master bedroom and the front porch. And it's not a lot of damage there. I mean, it's going to cost some money to fix it. It's going to be wrong. And I think they're coming out maybe next week. I think he was getting the materials this week.
Yep.
And so it's awesome. I mean, it's a great concept. I am so glad y'all come up with it.
I love it. I love to hear it on the other side too, because you go into it believing that what I'm telling you is true and what our team is saying is true and what others say is true. But then, like, once you live through it and now you live in it, you could still say the same things. That's pretty powerful. Let me ask you this. If you were to give some advice, let's just say there's a individual or a couple that's in this kind of discovery phase. They're kind of thinking about this. What do you think you would tell them to kind of like either A, let them know they're making the right decision to do something different like this? Because I think most people are just scared because it is so different.
They are.
And then the other side would be, what advice would you give them to prepare them for the journey of once they've onboarded and they start the process of what to expect?
Well, I would have to say, from my personal experience, I invite people out to see it. I still do. I say, if you want to see one, come out to my house. I'll show it to you, show you everything about it, tell you how we went about it, and and show you everything I can about it. In fact, I talked to a guy the other night. I was at a Christmas party. He was wanting to build a barn. I said, I got the great people that can do it for you.
Right.
He said, I don't know what size I want. He said, I'm thinking about 1,250 square feet. I said, no, go bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want a barn, get at least 1,500, personal opinion.
Right.
And I got 1,250, and that's plenty because I got the room over, which is happy. But come out, look at it. I'll take you out and show you others because there's other ones besides mine that you can look at, and I know where they are. I'll take you and go with the Barndo people because they're good people. They care, and I had great experience with them. I did. I might get frustrated here and there, but there again, it's weather, is material being stolen.
Yeah.
That was a
I forgot
trip.
about that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's my whole roof got stolen. So, but we got it straightened out, got it fixed. And it took another week or two, I think, to get it started again. But it's an experience. You'll love it. Be involved in it. Don't be aggravating, but be involved. Ask questions.
Right.
I mean, I would come out to y'all's office and y'all just say, "Come on in, let's talk."
All the time. That's why I say I'd walk next door to the production side and Tony just be sitting at the table with the guys. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I'd be sitting there talking, and I come in, Ross said, "Come on in, sit down." And they would, and I talk with him about this, that, and the other. And, you can put what you want in it. If you want you to buy the electrical outlets, the electrical fixtures, plumbing fixtures, I can buy it or you can buy it. I chose to buy mine. And, it was, I think we did good from what I've seen and what people have told me. But it's an experience, but it's an experience you need to process and need to think, expect the 12 months.
Right.
Probably won't be since, you got more crews than you got going now. So, yeah, but I would expect it. It didn't take me 12. I think it took 9,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
From March, I think from July to start to middle of July, end of July, I think to the end of March. So that's how long it took me to get in. Did I get anxious? I got anxious because I was wanting to get in that house, get out of the apartment.
Yeah.
I had the apartment crazy after 3 years. The people there was good, but this was not for me.
How about from your perspective?
From a female, once you look at it and they tell you can kind of do what you want to do, it takes on a whole new meaning. Because when I first heard Barndo, I'm like, I just don't think I can live in a barn. I don't think I can. But, ours is really like a house, you know? And when we were talking about the trusses, I'm like, you going to be able to see them? And they're like, yeah. And I'm thinking, I love them.
Yeah.
I do. I love them. I love everything. I love everything about it. I mean, we downsized a good bit from our other house, but it's plenty of room. And it's beautiful to me. And I mean, I probably don't even know if there's anything about it that I would change. I pretty much got what I want, like my breezeway, connected to my laundry room, connected to what I call my coffee bar, butler's pantry. And I love it. I've got plenty. It's very, very roomy for the size it is. The cabinet space is unbelievable. It's more than I had in a 3,500 square foot house.
Right.
So, and I utilize every bit of it. So yes,
I
mean, I love it. And if I had to do it over again, I would definitely do it over again.
I got 3 shelves of Christmas coffee cups in the coffee area.
But yeah, I would definitely do it over. I would do it again.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you guys coming on here and just doing this. Like for us, it's one thing, like I said, hear it from me. It's a whole different concept to hear it from people who came in, was uncertain, went through the process, had hiccups, but got what they were looking for. And on the other side, living there and, here's to your first Christmas in your
I know. And
Yes, it is.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
I know. Thank y'all for coming.